Oh, hello there. Welcome to News, Games, and More. This is IGN's daily live news show. I'm Damon Hatfield. I'll be your host for this outing. Today I'm joined by Destin Legary.
Bam! Hey, everybody.
Seth Macy.
Splat-ow!
Splat-out. And Jonathan Dornbush.
I didn't know we were supposed to come with new catchphrases.
Yep.
Your catchphrase is set in stone, Jonathan.
I know. Wowza. That's what
Wowza.
I'm known for saying. Yeah.
Wowza. Yep.
Classic.
Jonathan Wowza Dornbush over there.
What I'm known for. Yeah.
Lots of fun stuff to talk about today. What is today? July 6th. Hopefully everyone here in the US of A had an enjoyable holiday weekend. And actually, I'll say, I hope everyone, if you're watching this from outside the US of A, you also had an enjoyable weekend. First, some housekeeping before we jump right into the news. The housekeeping is way down at the bottom of my document. You may remember Watch From Home the relatively new show for IGN. We haven't aired an episode in a while, but that is all changing, coming to an end this week. What are you guys doing tomorrow? Be sure to tune in to Watch at Home Theater, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, a little bit earlier than we're used to. We've got the cast of What We Do in the Shadows for a live Q&A watch along with the episodes Ghosts and Brain Scramblies. You can sync up the episodes and watch along with us in the cast live. So check out the description of this video to find out where you can watch, where you can submit your questions for the cast using the hashtag WFHtheater. I don't know if you guys watch What We Do in the Shadows.
So good.
It is a very funny show.
Love that show.
And it's very cool. We're having the guests on IGN. Let's get into today's news. There's lots of Xbox stuff to talk about. We finally have a date for that July game showcase. Originally, we were thinking it was going to be a first-party game showcase, but none of the messaging today mentions first-party. It's going to be an Xbox Series X game showcase. It is happening on July 23rd, so just a few weeks away, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and 5 p.m. in the UK. UK gets prime time. We know they're going to be focusing on games, so don't expect hardware stuff or talk about the Project Lockhart or Xbox Series S. This is all going to be about the games. So that said, Destin, what Xbox Series X games are you most excited or looking forward to hearing about?
Well, for me, it would be Halo for sure. But I mean, I don't know. I would love to just see a big, massive Halo blowout, just drive around whatever that big old ring is going to be. Show us what's going on with the old Mjolnir armor. Talk about Chief and like how he's been feeling about the whole Cortana thing from the last game, her becoming evil.
Spoilers, jeez.
Yeah, evil
You
character.
don't need to play Halo 5. It's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Play all the other ones, though. That's what I would love to see. I don't think that's what they're going to show. Well, I mean, I think they're going to show some of the newer stuff, though, and talk about the newer stuff.
Wait, newer stuff meaning newer Halo stuff? Or
well, like the rumored games that everybody's been sort of talking about.
Well, okay,
and,
yeah. Hold on, we'll definitely talk about those, but I think they're absolutely going to give us a big look at Halo. Does everyone agree with Destin?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Wait. You agree with Destin that we're not?
Oh, no,
see
sorry.
Halo?
We agree with I agree with you. I of course
thank
don't
you.
agree with Destin. Come on.
Of course.
No.
Right. No.
I phrased that poorly.
I get what Destin's saying. I do definitely think they'll try to give as wide a palette as possible, but I think like Halo Infinite has been so hyped up and is so important to Microsoft and Xbox as a brand and as an identity that it has to have a pretty like marquee good showing at this event.
Yeah, Seth, what do you think?
Yeah. We need some Halo Infinite up in here. And I wouldn't mind if they do just sit Master Chief down on the couch and just have a chat, see how he is feeling,
The Halo Twitter account did quote tweet the Xbox Game Showcase with "Get ready." So yeah, they're definitely going to be talking about that. I remembered seeing that earlier today. So thank you for calling me out on that, Damon. I really phrased that poorly. I want to see a whole bunch of Halo. If the whole stream was a 14-hour long Halo stream, I would be down. Like they did that with Zelda that one year at E3. Remember when all they did was play Zelda
they just
like
played
all
Zelda,
E3?
Because that's how big Breath of the Wild was.
Mm-hmm. Do that, Microsoft.
What'd you say, Dustin? Drive around the big old ring. I think that should be a box, a feature on the back of the box. Drive around that big old ring. Halo 5.
I'd be down.
We know it'll have Halo Infinite. Other big first party games we know of. There's Hellblade 2. I don't know Jonathan, do you know, have we actually seen a gameplay demo of that yet?
No, we've only seen the teaser trailer that was at the Game Awards last year when they revealed the Series
That's
X
right, yeah.
console as well, but that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good candidate. Microsoft announced at E3 last year, I believe, that they had bought Double Fine, which means now they have Psychonauts 2. Although that one is remaining multi-platform, is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because it was previously announced. And then they also, among the many studios that they bought recently, there is Obsidian, and Obsidian announced Grounded last year, which is kind of a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids scenario where you're playing. I don't know. Are you a person? Are you an animal? You're something that's very small and low to the ground.
I think you're a person.
Yeah.
It's a very small, low, like Danny DeVito.
Well,
Small, low to the ground.
That one's getting, I think, an early access release though later this month. So I feel like they won't spend too much time on that game just because it'll be out like within a week or so after, I think.
Yeah. And we're seeing The Outer Worlds here, which is the most recent game published by Obsidian, but not developed by Obsidian, I don't believe. What you think they have a new big RPG in development, like ready to be shown off?
I would not be. They did develop Outer Worlds.
They did develop it?
Yeah, that was Obsidian. I think I would not be shocked. We were saying this a lot before the PlayStation event. Like these sorts of pre-next gen events are the one time it's okay if you just do a very light teaser cinematic trailer and we won't get mad about it. I would not be shocked because of how much love there was for the Outer Worlds if they teased Outer Worlds 2 or whatever they want to call it, the Inner Worlds, who knows? And I would not be shocked if there is like a brief cinematic teaser hinting that that is coming and that it'll be an Xbox exclusive.
An inner space RPG.
I had it flipped. Outer Worlds was published by Private Division.
Yes,
I had that flipped in my mind. I don't know. There is the fact that there's these rumors that Destin was referring to. Rumors about a new Fable game and a new Perfect Dark. Let's talk about Perfect Dark for a second. I could scarcely be more excited about any game announcement than a new Perfect Dark. Maybe it's just a bit of an older franchise. You have to be a little bit more of a seasoned gamer to, I think, have good memories about Perfect Dark. That's me. Seth, does that include you?
That does not include me. Now, that's not because I have anything against Perfect Dark. It's just because I was too wrapped up in competitive GoldenEye with all my friends that we didn't want to spoil it by trying a new game. God forbid we invite something into our hearts and move GoldenEye out, unfortunately.
Yeah. GoldenEye was great, but I think Perfect Dark.
Well, there was a guy.
Better game.
Yeah, there's a guy down like 3 doors down from me who was always like, "You got to come play Perfect Dark, dude. You like GoldenEye, you're gonna love Perfect Dark. It's way better. I'm telling you." And I never did, and I feel bad to this day. I wish I remembered his name. I'd apologize to him right here, right now.
Take a moment.
Yeah.
I think Perfect Dark has a ton of potential as a, I don't know, sort of what they've been doing with the Resident Evil franchise, changing it up a little bit, making it a little bit new, but retaining a lot of the old. I wasn't totally thrilled with what they did with the 360 version. I think
nobody was.
I think the N64 version is the one that people really like. They did an HD remaster of that on the 360 a few years later. I would love to see them sort of go back to the drawing board, so to speak, with that game, retain what was great about it, the cool futuristic tech gadgetry, the spy aesthetic of the game, and really bring that back on the Xbox Series X. But I don't want to see anything like what they did with the 360 version of the game, personally.
Yeah. The series has been dormant for 15 years since that 360 game, and like Destin said, that's not really the game that people love. So the game that people love is like 20 plus years old now. So I guess I just don't know who. I don't know if that's really going to move systems for Microsoft. Like I said, I would love to see a new Perfect Dark, but Jonathan, what do you think?
I was just gonna say, yeah, like on a name level, I do not think Perfect Dark is a like system seller game. I think if the rumors are that it's their new, like, as they've called it, quadruple A studio, the initiative that is working on it. Yeah. And if there's a really talented team with really interesting ideas around, as Destin was saying, like this really cool spy gadgetry and sort of stuff that we're not seeing in a lot of game franchises these days, I think it could make for a really cool game. But like you telling me, oh, a new Perfect Dark game could be shown, it does nothing for me. Like That on its own doesn't excite me, but if this does end up being true, I hope the team behind it has some ingenious ideas. Otherwise, they could just do a new franchise.
Yeah. Okay, then what about Fable? It's been a long time since Fable 3. Is there like is there a Fable like super fan on our panel today?
I love Fable 2. Fable 2 was
That's the one.
yeah, one of my favorite 360 games. I absolutely would take a new Fable, and especially sort of away from the promises of the original Fable trilogy, where it would make you cry constantly or whatever we were promised by Peter Molyneux. I think a really cool, ingenious Fable game like could still happen. Especially with the rumors it being Playground Games, they've been focused on the Forza Horizon franchise, which is definitely a different type of game, but there is a lot of talent at that studio and they've been hiring a lot of talent. And so I would totally trust that group to be able to do something pretty unique with that franchise. And yeah, I would be happy with its return.
Yeah, for sure. Dustin, did you ever play Fable?
I did, yeah. I was a pretty big fan of the original. The whole idea that you could end up as totally evil or totally good, that was really popular at the launch of the 360 especially. I know the original Fable was on original Xbox.
Right.
It was one of the first games where it had that sort of morality system that really stuck with me anyway. Probably not the first game that ever did it, but that one really stuck with me because your character just became so evil, like flies would follow him around and he had like cracks in his face and stuff like that. And I really, really liked that aspect of it. There was also like subtle humor that a lot of people appreciated from the Fable franchise. Fable 2, adding of the dog companion was really, really smart and really fun because you really became attached to your companion in that game. Honestly, what I want to see them do with the Fable franchise is make it a little bit darker, a little bit more serious, sort of in tone with the original, because it got goofier the further along it went. And I really like that story of an orphan child presented with the option of becoming totally evil, basically, as it grew older, right? And yeah, I want to see how they modernize it, how they make it different. I also think Sony has been really smart about introducing new IP, and Xbox has largely relied on old IP like Gears and Halo and Fable, and if Perfect Dark is true, Perfect Dark, and Hellblade is their first new IP, right? In quite some time, and it's garnered interest, but it didn't blow up in the way that the Sony IPs have, like Last of Us or the Uncharted franchise, which is fairly new, but God of War, yeah. Well, God of War is like they come out with a new God of War, but it's totally re-envisioned and it just feels new. It feels like a new thing as opposed to the same thing we've been playing for 20x years or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents about the whole Xbox thing. I want to see what they're bringing to the table at this event for sure.
The interesting thing with both Perfect Dark and Fable is that these are long dormant franchises that would be, if they're real, they're being handled by completely different developers than the original games were. Also, Seth, what do you hope to see from Microsoft later this month if Perfect Dark is not your cup of tea?
I mean, obviously, I want to see Halo.
Yeah, but we know that's happening. We know that's happening.
I would love to see something new. I want to see something new and interesting and surprising that, we have never even heard of. I love to be surprised. It's one of my favorite. It's one of the simple joys that I have in life. Just surprise me with something. So, I don't necessarily, it'll be great to see some returns to these old franchises, but just like something new and cool and exciting that we can't quite figure out what it is. Give us a little bit of tease and we'll all be talking about it for the next few months. What could it be? We'll be on this show going, what do you guys think it was from the teaser? Like, I'm looking forward to that sort of. I'm a man of simple pleasures.
Yeah, I know. What was the what was the last game that pleasantly surprised you? Or game reveal or announcement?
Oh man, put me on the spot here. That would have to. You know what? There was a long time ago. There was this game. I was like, how could 100 people play a game at once competitively? That doesn't make any sense.
It's got PUBG,
and that was a game called PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Yep, of course. Did you guys see that Battletoads was just rated today in Brazil?
Finally.
Yeah, well, I mean, kind of finally.
Yeah, no, it's such a weird timing for that game, though.
Yeah.
I think that was revealed at E3 like 2017 or something, and I think we've either seen it in action or played it at a Gamescom years ago, but it's been long dormant. So now maybe it's actually coming out soon, and that could be included in.
Wait, that Battletoads game still hasn't come out, the animated one?
Nope.
That's right. It has not come out.
Oh wow. Okay.
But it was just rated in Brazil, so it might be coming out sometime soon. Seth,
Great.
Did you play the original Battletoads?
I played the original Battletoads. I don't understand why everyone loves Battletoads. I don't get it. No, it's not a fun game at all. It's very unfair and cheap.
You're a toad that's ready for battle, Seth.
Yeah, it
What
was sort
is
of
there
a
not to
parody of
love?
the Ninja Turtles, which are awesome and great, and I love the Ninja Turtles. And I always
Yeah.
will. And then Battletoads, it like looked great. We rented it, me and my friends for a sleepover. We played it. And we're like, this is not a fun game at all. And then we just sort of, I don't know, probably watched a horror movie or something.
Yeah. It had good music.
It has good music as well.
It's good music.
But you don't get to hear much of it because you don't really progress in the game very far because it's brutal.
That's true.
I'm more excited about Scorn than any of the games that we're talking about right now. Well, besides Halo, of course. Excited about Halo. Also really excited about Scorn.
So Scorn was shown off. We got a trailer for it at the last Xbox Game Showcase. It had already been announced for PC, I believe, but it was part of Xbox's last showcase. But it was just kind of a gross trailer. So what's got you excited for that, Destin?
It's new. Like it's unlike anything that I've seen. It has that Geiger aesthetic that everybody keeps talking about. Same thing with what's the other one you wrote down? Second Extinction. That was the shooter made by one person, right?
No.
No, Bright Memory Infinite was the shooter. Sorry, yeah. Those have me more excited because, like Seth said, I want to see new stuff. I've seen the old stuff. New IPs always get me excited, and I want to see what Microsoft has because they have this whole studio, and we don't know what they're working on, and I'm really, really curious.
Well, some people were kind of disappointed with the last game showcase because they were sort of promised a big gameplay reveal for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and it ended up being sort of a short.
It was weird.
It didn't look like gameplay.
No,
even though if it was like engine or something. And then it was a lot of game trailers. It wasn't all gameplay, and even Microsoft even admitted saying that it had set some wrong expectations. So going into this showcase, Jonathan, what do you think they need to do to make sure people aren't disappointed this time?
Show a lot of Halo, probably. I
Right.
definitely it's got to be gameplay. Like they have to. I think it would be better if they showed fewer games with longer, extended gameplay looks than really, sizzle reel, high glossy, but mostly cinematic trailers. I don't think the audience will respond too kindly if that is what most of this showcase is. I think they can do some of that. Like I was saying before, I think early cinematic teasers for a couple big games that may be years out is okay to do, but there has to be a balance. And like you were saying at the top, it's interesting that a few months ago they were talking about this as sort of the first party showcase, and now they're just calling it the game showcase. Obviously, we have a few more weeks to get more details, but maybe that means we'll see some third party stuff. I think the Sony event, probably the very high reception to that event probably, made them change some of their plans for this.
That's interesting. Now our own Ryan McCaffrey, IGN's own Ryan McCaffrey, is calling this the most important Xbox event ever. Destin, do you agree with that?
I mean, ever? I don't know about ever. I agree that it's pretty important, but I don't know about ever. I would have to hear more from him why he feels that they really have to nail this one. Because the last one didn't go super great, but they have some good IPs and such coming. Now, if this is a big Halo blowout, like we don't know how much Halo they're going to show. We're pretty certain that they're showing Halo of some sort. I think that IP being the cornerstone of the presentation would be really, really powerful and positive. I don't know how they come out of this and just blow everybody away. I don't think it's going to happen personally. So I'm managing my expectations.
You don't think the overall showcase is going to blow people away?
Nope. I think the overall consensus about Xbox right now is unfortunately negative. I see it a lot of time in our comments on our stories, and there's a lot of people leaning towards the PS5, and they're like really championing how well they've done with their storytelling and with their original IPs. And I would love it I would absolutely love it if this Xbox event proved me wrong. They came out swinging and just nailed a bunch of excellent IPs. And they have great IPs, but they're just not resounding with people the way the stuff on the PlayStation is.
Yeah,
And
like go ahead, Jonathan.
I was going to say, I think, Destin, that speaks to Ryan's overall point, because he and I, of course, on Next Gen Console Watch have talked about this a little bit, but it's such an important event because Sony is coming in from such a high. You know, the PS4 is such a sales leader, has so many beloved franchises around it, has been looked at as the market leader, and was such a rebound from sort of the PlayStation perspective people had in the PS3 era, especially compared to the 360. And even when PlayStation says nothing, their silence has almost been bigger and more attention grabbing than Microsoft's like biggest Series X announcements. I mean, like we see that even in some of the reception on IGN. And so I think like this event in Ryan's perspective, it really needs to blow us away. And I'm kind of there with you. I don't know if it can, just because there is such that like preconceived notion that no matter what they do, PlayStation is better to a large part of the audience. But like Destin, you were saying, the 360, I played so much Halo, I played so much Fable. I love a lot of Microsoft franchises, and I want to see them do well because I do think competition only makes the two better in the end. But they are definitely going with sort of the deck stacked against them.
Yeah. I think the whole thing for me about the argument that this is the event that is make or break for them, that's the only part of it that I don't agree with. They have a year lead, basically, on the PS5. Is that right, Dorno? Because PS5's further out on launch. Or are they both launching this holiday?
They're both launching this holiday.
This holiday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well then, yeah, I don't know. I still don't think it all hinges on this event, because they do still have time to show their library, right? So I don't know why this would be the event that's make or break.
I think it's because, you know, we know the narrative this entire generation is that Xbox fumbled the launch of the Xbox One, was never able to catch up to Sony. It's a distant second or third place this generation. But at the launch of a next generation of consoles, that's Microsoft's opportunity to sort of entice people back. And for a long time, Microsoft was coming out swinging, talking about next gen, because they were way ahead of Sony. Microsoft kept doling out bits of info about the Xbox Series X, while Sony was being completely silent. So it kind of seemed like Microsoft was building up a lot of momentum and building up excitement for next gen. But then, of course, last month, Sony finally gave us the big reveal of the PlayStation 5, showed off the console, both versions of it, showed off a lot of games that people are really excited about, and a lot of exclusives. So coming out of that, it's like, whoa, okay, now we remember who's really ahead of the game here. So now that's why it's kind of like, all right, Microsoft, what do you got? What are the games for your new system? This is it. I think that's kind of what Ryan McCaffrey is alluding to there. But Seth, where do you weigh in on all this?
Yeah, I have to agree with Ryan. I think this is probably the most important Xbox event, because they had the momentum going into it, you know, leading up to this. And then that last event where they sort of overhyped it and underdelivered, they lost a lot of the momentum. And Sony took that like expertly and just came out, you know, swinging with their event. And now the ball is completely in their court. And so like Xbox now has to catch up again. They were doing better. Yeah. They were further ahead. And now they've lost that, and now they have to they basically have to just explode everybody's minds with amazing Xbox reveals. And I know that they're only talking about games, but basically until they mention price, they're going to be playing catch up. Like if they want to take the lead, they have to come out, they have to say what the price is, and they have to say, and it has to be a good price.
Yeah. We still don't know the price of the PlayStation 5 yet either.
No, we don't know the price of anything. It's obnoxious at this point. It's July. How am I supposed to start saving up money?
You should just start saving away. You're mowing lawns for the summer, I assume.
I'm mowing lawns this summer. I got the lemonade stand.
I will say this: a lot of people seem to compare Xbox's success only to how well PlayStation 5 is doing in comparison, right? Mm-hmm. But by no means would I ever say that the Xbox brand is failing or bad. They still do tremendously well, but I think so often we only look at it in comparison by Sony, and I don't think that's an accurate representation about of failure, I guess, for lack of a better word.
No,
And so
sure.
often the community's like, Xbox is losing, and I'm like, they're still making billions of dollars. They're doing just fine, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think their business is profitable. I think that's something that people forget. Like, you can be in second place, you can be in third place, and still be running a successful console business. You know,
Yeah.
if they've sold half as many consoles as PlayStation, that's still 50 million ish consoles you sold with a dedicated user base that are playing games, buying games in there every day, and more importantly, they're paying for Xbox Live, paying for Xbox Game Pass. So.
Yeah, as we've said a lot over like the weeks and months on almost all of our shows, like Xbox is playing a very different game from PlayStation going into the next gen, because Xbox very clearly from their messaging is like, we just want you in our ecosystem. We want you subscribed to Game Pass. We want you thinking of Xbox as a thing that is your gaming life. So whether you're doing it on PC, on an Xbox, on xCloud, on one of the maybe multiple Series X and S consoles that they're going to put out, they just want you in that ecosystem. Whereas PlayStation is very much a traditional, we are going to ask you to upgrade to get the next gen experience.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's move on to our next topic, but stick with Xbox. You may remember, I think it was last week, we're hearing reports that AT&T is looking to sell off the video game development arm Warner Brothers Interactive, and then rumors today come from The Information. The Information is reporting that alongside companies like Activision, EA, and Take-Two, Microsoft is interested in purchasing WB Interactive. What would that get Microsoft? That would get Microsoft developers like Avalanche Software, Monolith Productions, NetherRealm Studios, Rocksteady Studios, Traverse Tales Games, and various WB game studios across the globe. That would get them. Okay, so let's break it down. Avalanche made Disney Infinity. They've been quiet for several years since WB Interactive bought them, but they're rumored to be working on that Harry Potter game. Of course, Rocksteady did all the Batman Arkham games, I guess instead of Origins, but they do the Batman Arkham games. So definitely high caliber talent there. NetherRealm makes Mortal Kombat. So maybe we should just take a break right there. This would mean Microsoft would own Mortal Kombat. Destin, what do you think about that?
Now that would make that conference a pretty big conference. Yeah. Getting an IP like Mortal Kombat would be huge, and getting all those developers who've done fantastic games with licensed IPs that they need to reacquire the rights to would equally be huge. Yeah, I mean, it's a rumor. It seems backed up by some credible sources. It'd be interesting to see what happens in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, so if Microsoft could do this, could buy W Interactive, it would seem like something they couldn't pass up. Like, Microsoft has been purchasing studios for a while now, trying to build up its portfolio. Man, they get such a roster of incredible talent here, and to own Mortal Kombat, the whole IP, I just can't. That's like so crazy.
Even if they lost all the other, if they didn't want to license all the other WB properties, like, you still get so much talent there. And
exactly.
whether they're working on existing IP for Microsoft or new stuff, that it's such a great stable of talent to be able to have.
I guess it's worth noting that they're not getting like the Batman license in this purchase. They'd still have to work with the DC to negotiate contracts for future Batman games. But they're getting the studio that made those Batman games. But Destin, like, what if this happened? Microsoft now owns Mortal Kombat. There's no way Mortal Kombat can just be an Xbox exclusive, though, right?
Well, like, Minecraft is owned by Microsoft, and Minecraft's still on everything, right? So I don't see any reason why Microsoft couldn't own Mortal Kombat but still allow it to appear on other consoles. And honestly, the fact that they're willing to do that just means they make a tremendous amount of money off of an IP like Mortal Kombat and allow it to be on other platforms. That's just another way that Microsoft is just really smart about how they handle the gaming sphere in different ways than other platforms,
Yeah. Other Xbox former exclusives like Cuphead and Ori and the Blind Forest are available on Switch also. Those are just other examples. Now, with the beginning in which is it? Monolith Productions. That's the team that made Middle-earth, Shadow of War, and then Shadow of Mordor. So again, just like more top tier talent. Seth, what do you make of all this?
Yeah, I would love it. I think that would help Xbox a lot to have the Mortal Kombat franchise, because then they could say for 6 months, This is the exclusive home of where like the Terminator punches a ninja's face off.
Yeah.
Like that's a big selling point. Mortal Kombat. I never really appreciated how popular Mortal Kombat was. I always appreciated Mortal Kombat, but it was like 2015 when I was a news freelancer and I wrote a story about a character that wasn't appearing in Mortal Kombat 10. This was a news story. It's like 150, 200 words. That was the #1 most read story on IGN for 2015.
Was it the Scooby-Doo story?
No, it wasn't the Scooby-Doo story.
Okay.
I actually don't remember what it was, but I just remember being blown away by that. So yeah, I think this would be a great move for Microsoft to buy all these studios and then I would be surprised, and then they find out, hey, there's a new Mortal Kombat pack coming to Minecraft.
Yes.
Skin pack and everything. It'd be great.
I mean, they've watered down Mortal Kombat before for Mortal Kombat versus DC.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, now they have Injustice, and that's sort of watered down, but it has a fantastic combat system. So, man, I would be super stoked, and they still can make those games if they get the licenses right.
Of course.
So,
of course.
I mean, that would be another win.
Rocksteady is rumored to be working on a Suicide Squad game.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, right, Damon? Something like that.
Yep. That was our pitch that we came up with. So the other rumors are EA, Activision, Take-Two could buy WB Interactive. Also, man, whoever bought this label, I guess you're just getting so many different studios in there. It just almost seems crazy. Like Jonathan, I can't think of another acquisition like this where you got this many talented development studios in one purchase. Can you?
No, I don't think there's anything quite on that scale because it is just so many studios. It's comparable to when Microsoft announced they bought 6 studios in terms of the number, but there's I can't remember a single deal where it was like, hey, here's 6 or 7 different studios all under a new home. And yeah, like the licenses aside, because then you get in a weird situation where maybe WB decides to give the licenses to the highest bidder, and boy, would that be funny if it somehow ended up being Sony. But just adding that number of studios to Microsoft's portfolio would be such a win. And it's also a lot of studios who do what Sony does very well in terms of delivering highly polished single player action adventure campaigns and games. And that's something that, Microsoft gets knocked a lot for not having. And so to suddenly have a handful of studios who does that very well on the traditionally multi-platform side working for you is a pretty great way to start the next generation.
Yeah, for sure. Now, EA or Activision is maybe a little bit of a different story because people have strong feelings about those publishers. Like if it were announced that EA bought WB, because EA is known for closing down studios.
Yeah,
or at least has done so many times in the past.
And I was just gonna say on that note, like the one caveat to as great as these studios are is a lot of them have not been putting out many games in recent years. Like
that's a really good point.
Rocksteady hasn't put out a full game since Arkham Knight. They put out the Arkham VR game after that, but Monolith has put out Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor. WB Games Montreal has basically been silent since Origins. And so as great as these studios are, they haven't been the most prolific in number of games. And so my worry at something like an EA or an Activision is if they're not putting out games on the frequent enough basis they need to, maybe those studios get shuttered.
Yeah. And maybe there's something that we don't know. Maybe there's
totally. Yeah.
Maybe there's
massive
a reason
debt.
Maybe there's a reason these games, these studios aren't having a really high output. Like Jonathan said, it's been 3 years, I think, since Shadow of War. I mentioned Avalanche that made Disney Infinity. We don't know if they're making their Harry Potter RPG for sure. They haven't put out a game in 3 years. There's, AT&T is trying to sell off this gaming division. So I don't know. Maybe there's something that we don't know, that it's not as an enticing a purchase as it looks like, but it would seem that you'd be getting quite a good deal for purchasing all of these studios together. Let's move on to the creators of Left 4 Dead and their new game, Back 4 Blood, which was announced in March of last year. And then I don't think we got an update since then. So I think a lot of people had maybe forgotten about this game. This is Turtle Rock Studios, creator of Left 4 Dead, creator of Evolve after they left Valve. They announced last year in March that they're making another co-op zombie game, Back 4 Blood, which really sounds like they're getting back into something very similar to Left 4 Dead. They'd said at the time it's a next-gen cooperative FPS where you'll be able to shoot up a lot of zombies, like in Left 4 Dead, but with a whole lot of new stuff, which makes it unique. And I don't know if we have the concept art up today that we can pull up there, but it shows sort of a fortress that maybe they've walled, our heroes have walled themselves up in to hide out and fend off zombie hordes. Destin, let me ask you this: had you forgotten about Back 4 Blood since March of last year?
Absolutely. Yeah. They can do that? They can just keep the 4 and everything and just get away with that? I'm pretty surprised.
Actually, Jonathan, was there an anecdote about them getting permission from Valve about that? I don't remember.
I feel like there might have been. I mean, I don't think Valve has trademarked the number 4, so
no.
they're probably
try as they might.
I mean, they never get past 2, so I doubt they've even thought about 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, there might have been. It's kind of escaping my memory just because we rarely hear about this game.
Yeah.
But if it's as good as the Left 4 Dead franchise is, great. I mean,
Yeah.
we win in the end, right? But yeah, I mean, cool. Great. A cool new zombie game where you run to the helicopter or run to the safe room and lock yourself in for 4 levels. And if you're on the opposing team, you get to play as the infected or whatever they were called.
Maybe
Boomer here.
Yeah.
Based on the concept art, maybe you're always locked in the place and you're trying to defend it.
Yeah. I do think a lot of people would be happy just to see either another Left 4 Dead or a Left 4 Dead like game. So I don't know, like, do they even need to like mess with that formula very much? It's been feels like a long time since we've gotten a co-op zombie shooter game.
Yeah, I think they got to do something. I think they got to spice it up a little bit. Put in
You
some
wanna-
survival elements. Make it like Rust, but with zombies.
Yeah.
And you have to harvest things and build your clothes and guns.
I just
You
hope
know
they don't
how you
change
do.
it
You build
too
your
much.
clothes.
I just hope they don't change it too much, because sometimes, man, you just got a really good thing, and if you mess with it too much, you kind of ruin it. You know, Destiny. I'm writing an article about Destiny, so it's fresh on my mind.
Oh wait, you play Destiny?
Yeah, believe it or not, they massively changed this PvP mode called Trials, and all they ended up doing was bringing back the original. So because people they were like, we just want the original, just bring that back. But they did it like years too late. Had they not messed with it as much as they did, they probably would have, stayed on top of the PvP game for a long time. So maybe they don't need to change Left 4 Dead too much.
We're seeing this Back 4 Blood concept art that was released today on our screens now. I don't know, Jonathan, does this tell us anything? Does it give us any sort of an idea of what to expect here?
I mean, I think it certainly shows that there will be hills in the game.
Confirmed.
And buildings. No, I mean, like, this is about as ambiguous as you could be, other than there's some sort of safe house, safe location. It almost, like, to me, it gives off the vibe of a tower defense, like a reverse Left 4 Dead, where essentially it's you defending this base against incoming hordes, and maybe you're going out and planting stuff on those paths to your location. But that could also just be a location you're trying to get to. Who knows? I like Justin saying there is a great formula in Left 4 Dead that not a ton of games replicated. So maybe they don't want to mess with it.
There is also the issue that while people love Left 4 Dead, I don't think there are a lot of fans of Evolve out there, which is what they made after Left 4 Dead 2. So I don't know. Does that give anyone pause to wonder about how much they should be excited for another game from that studio?
Well, to be honest, I think the problem with Evolve was the monetization structure more than the gameplay. A lot of people did enjoy the gameplay, especially the early access stuff. It was quite popular when that was happening. And then they just had this absolutely terrible monetization structure. And that's largely what a lot of people focused on and remember about that game.
Well, do you remember what the monetization was?
It was... No, not off the top of my head, but I knew it was like a couple $100 to buy everything in the game, and the community hated it.
Yeah. Because it was like a full price game. It wasn't free to play at first. It went free to play eventually.
Yeah, that
I
was
thought-
like their last effort to sort of salvage it.
I would wonder if people are experiencing zombie fatigue, but people have been asking that question for years now, and still zombies still seem to be super popular.
I think they're acceptable. I don't know if they're super
Acceptable.
popular. It used to be exciting and fresh to mow down zombies. Now it's like, here they come again. It's those zombie boys. Oh, let's mow them down, fellas.
Well, no, like the biggest game of the moment right now is another zombie game. Would you agree with that, Jonathan? No, you don't think so?
They're
They call them infected, but
sure.
they're formerly alive humans.
Yeah, but
Undead
they
humans.
are they've got like a disease thing going on, a fungal infection.
The
It's an
cordyceps
athlete's foot.
virus.
Yeah, exactly. As opposed to, the unholy living dead who rise from their graves to feast on the brains of the living.
Well, okay, if that's how you're trying to define it, then remember that there is nothing supernatural going on in Resident Evil.
That's true.
But those are zombies, right?
Okay. I'm going to have to think about this for the next week or so. Write down my thoughts.
I'm looking over the Evolve stuff because you brought it up, Damon. Pre-release, according to Wikipedia, largely positive reception. It was publicly playable at several events. Post-release, it had an average Metacritic score on PlayStation of 76 out of 100. Sales-wise, it debuted #1 in the UK sales chart. The first 2K games had published to take the #1 spot since March 2013. But I think all of us remember that game being received negatively, right?
Well, opinion turned on the game. I think I thought it was a matter of that there wasn't enough content in the game, and they were launching different monsters like weeks down the line. The game didn't come complete with all of them, and maybe you did have to buy them to add them to the game.
At release, Evolve launched with 44 different paid DLC skin packs. Free updates were added to the game. The Observer mode was added on March 31st, 2015. So yeah, that game was just mired in problems that I think in the long run nuked it.
Hopefully, Back for Blood can avoid those same problems. Let's move on to an update on Final Fantasy VII, which is now being made at home in the homes of the developers at Square Enix, and its development is being affected by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, but hopefully it's not going to seriously delay the game. Producer Yoshinori Kitase tells us at this current time, the team are still making the next game via remote working. Our performance will temporarily drop below 100% efficiency because of this, but I do not think there should be a big impact in the long term. So as for what part 2 is going to include, what part of the game they're remaking, Kitase says, I'm not able to tell you the answer to that now. I understand that there's a lot of speculation among the fans. That is what we wanted, and we've really enjoyed seeing these theories and guesses of what the ending means. We wanted the fans to keep the discussion going on social media and keep their excitement high as we head towards the next game. Remind me, who are the Final Fantasy VII Remake players here? I beat it. Jonathan, did you play it?
I did.
You beat it?
I played it. I'd never played FF7 before, so it was my first experience. But yeah.
And then
Wow.
Destin?
I played through the intro where you fight the tank with the tail, the scorpion tail. That part was pretty intense.
Okay. So you played the demo.
Come on, man. Why you gotta take away my cred?
No, I'm just trying to clarify. I'm
sure,
just trying
if that's what the demo was, then yeah, I played the demo, I guess.
And Seth, did you play the remake?
Like Destin, I also played the demo, the quote unquote demo. I really, really liked it. Then somebody spoiled the story for me and the surprise, and I was like, well, heck, I'm not gonna play through that now.
Yeah. Don't do that for me, please.
No, I'm not gonna. I mean, I really want to play this game. I was poo-pooing it, but then I played that demo and I thought, well, okay, actually, this is way better than I was anticipating. So,
well, it's been out for a few months now.
I know. I'm just waiting for it to come on as like the free game for PlayStation Plus.
Okay. Well, I'm sure it'll be the free game on PS Plus the month before Part 2 comes out, which is years from now.
Yeah.
So.
Or it'll be right after I buy it. Then it'll come out.
Yeah.
That's usually how it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Dornell. Sorry.
I was just gonna say what's really interesting about like even talking about Part 2 is it's only still out on PS4. Like they've been very clear that this was sort of a like timed exclusive launch, and we still haven't even gotten details about their like post exclusivity plans for Part 1. So like I wouldn't be surprised if this any sort of delay that we're seeing because of the COVID impact is mitigated by the fact that Part 1 will have this sort of reboost of recognition when it comes to other platforms.
Yeah. They haven't officially announced Part 2 is coming to even PlayStation 5 yet. So, but it's almost assuredly going to come out after the PS5 has been released. So people are going to be in a weird position where maybe it's a cross generation game. Maybe they put out a PS4 version and a PS5 version, and it is supposed to eventually come to Xbox at some point. Isn't that right, Jonathan? Have there been like leaks?
Yeah, there's been some like store leaks and listings, but as of right now, I don't think Square has officially stated any other platforms they intend to bring it to. But it feels like almost sort of one of those. Eventually, it'll probably be on Xbox and PC.
Yeah. Would you describe yourself as excited for Part 2, Jonathan?
Yes. Yeah. I really, really liked Part 1. Again, not having like any nostalgia or fondness for the original in any way to like lean on. I thought the combat system in this game was so great and so fun, and I enjoyed the story for the most part. I definitely have like some spoilery issue thoughts to talk about, but on the whole, I really enjoyed it and wanted it to keep going. I can't wait for Part 2 when it happens 3 years from now, probably.
Yeah, it's the rollout of this game is just crazy. The craziest thing. I enjoyed a lot of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think the model, the way they're going about it is a little bit frustrating to me because even though I spent like 30 hours, 40 hours playing through that game, it doesn't feel like a full game, doesn't feel like a full RPG. So that part is a little frustrating to me. Destin, do you plan to actually sit down and play through the Remake at some point?
Yeah, dude, I have so many. There's just so many good games that I hadn't had time to play because we were doing all this new tech stuff for Summer of Gaming that I had to sharpen up on. And today was my first day like back in the swing of things after just head down in tech stuff for so long, and it was so nice to write and do this show and everything. So I will definitely be playing Final Fantasy and all the other games that I'm behind on.
Well, are you playing anything right now besides Destiny?
Just Destiny.
That's fine. Yeah. I was just trying to get a sense of what people are playing right now. Seth, are you playing anything right now besides PUBG?
Yeah, I actually haven't been playing PUBG lately. It's not fun unless you have like a group of people that you know. It's not fun solo. It's very frustrating solo, except for when you win, which for me is like 1 out of every like 25 times. So no, I haven't been playing something else.
Is it a secret?
I don't know. I'm looking at Jonathan. Like I don't.
You can publicly say because we have. You just can't say any thoughts or opinions.
Oh yeah, I've been playing that Ghost of Tsushima.
Cool. Jonathan, are you also playing that?
Yep, also playing that. Prepping for post-launch content, of course, on Podcast Beyond. But that's pretty much all I've been playing, and I'm going to check into Marvel's Iron Man VR tonight.
Oh yeah, is that out now?
It's out. Yeah, it came out last Friday.
Oh. Okay, cool. A little bit of a quiet launch for that game.
Yeah, it
not on IGN. Geez, every video we post blows up, man.
Well, that's great. I'm working my way through Last of Us Part 2 right now, and then also looking forward to diving into Ghost of Tsushima. Man, we're just burning through time here today. We're running out of time. Let's talk about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. 30 minutes of gameplay footage leaked today. Jonathan, how'd that happen? Did you do it?
It was me. Sorry, I couldn't help it. No, I don't know how it happened exactly, but suffice to say, I think this current COVID work from home situation has definitely led to maybe a couple more security breaches than the gaming industry would prefer.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Don't spoil it for me, but let me guess. It's just like Odyssey, but with Vikings.
That seems to be the gist of it.
You
But
said not to spoil it, so
that seems to be the gist of it. But I don't think that's a bad thing because I love
people
Odyssey.
loved Odyssey.
no, yeah. I loved Odyssey. What's really interesting, because I've been a fan of the franchise since the beginning. Origins and Odyssey have very much split the fan base. Like I follow the Assassin's Creed sort of community and the subreddits and all that, and there's like a very strong, stark difference between fans who are unhappy with the direction Origins and Odyssey have taken because of how much a departure they are from the older Assassin's Creed games, and then fans who liked those games but also like this new direction. And I think Valhalla, from this leaked gameplay, seems to be sticking more toward the Origins and Odyssey path, which for fans who some of the initial reveals they kind of talked about, they were trying to wrap in some of those older Assassin's Creed feelings and like the ideas that people liked, but at least this leaked gameplay kind of feels very much like Origins and Odyssey.
Yeah, I think. What was that?
Well, I was just gonna say, I think the problem arises with expectation. It's next gen. It's been marketed as like the premier Xbox Series X game, and then you get this leaked gameplay that looks exactly like the previous game in the timeline of the Assassin's Creed series, right? But that game was on PC also, so basically, like, you're getting the new console is just a more powerful PC with cooler stuff in it, right? So it's going to look largely like the old games. I don't know what. Like, it's going to be really, really hard to meet expectations for a lot of these next-gen multi-platform properties.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I think, to be fair, the footage here was apparently very rough. It's in progress. There's all sorts of like sort of graphical bugs, but it does give us a sense of what the gameplay is going to be like. And I know that Jonathan was saying that the more recent Assassin's Creed games have split the audience. I think that's largely because the original dedicated Assassin's Creed fans love the Animus stuff. They love the modern day stuff. They love the lore. And the more recent games have sort of de-emphasized all that stuff. But now, apparently, we can see from the gameplay footage today, apparently there's a button to enter the Animus at any time from the menu. So that's interesting to think if you could actually leave the simulation at any time during the game and return to the modern world. I don't know. That's just sort of a guess at what that would be used for. But in the recent games, you only experience the modern day stuff in cutscenes that are very few and far between. Seth, where do you come down on the Assassin's Creed games as a whole?
As a whole,
yeah,
I like the Assassin's Creed games as a whole, but as a series, I'd give it like a 7 probably.
It's good.
It's a good, it's a good series, but I'm one of the people that doesn't like the modern day stuff. I actually reviewed it wasn't a remake, it was a remaster of Assassin's Creed 3, and I never got a chance to play it all the way through before, and I played it through on PC, and it looked phenomenal. It was like I felt like I was in colonial Boston, but then I had to do all the stupid crap where I was like climbing on a construction site in the future with my messenger bag, and I didn't really care for any of that. So that's my biggest problem with it, is that it rips you out of the immersion. That's just why I like Red Dead 2 so much, because I felt like I was in 1905. And I didn't get ripped out to listen to some expositional dialogue about the Templars versus the Assassins.
That would have been a pretty surprising reveal in Red Dead Redemption 2. If you wake up and it's an ancestor of John Marsden's reliving. Yeah, that would have been pretty big. Destin, it sounds like you agree with Seth. You don't care for the modern day stuff.
Well, I recently played through the original Assassin's Creed. You can tear through it pretty fast if you know what you're doing. And I started 2, and in 2 it did that thing where every sort of chapter that you get through, not sequence, but like there would be points in the game where it rips you out, and you got to go interact with the people in the current time or whatever, and learn more about them and build relationships there before you go back in and get to experience what's going on with Ezio Auditore, right? And I hate that. Just let me stay in, Italy with Ezio and experience that. And if it's totally optional to experience the future stuff, great, do that. I remember earlier when they were announcing Valhalla, one of the things they brought back is they brought back the Hidden Blade because of that feedback. So this is just another way where they're addressing fan concerns about adding another thing. So I guess it's a net positive if I can avoid it completely.
Yeah. Yeah, my feeling was always that the whole idea of playing an assassin in a video game is enough. That's enough. That's cool. I want to do that. It doesn't need all the extra trappings of it being a modern day simulation thing. That was always an odd choice for me.
The simulation stuff is great as a tutorial. Like you learn a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
how to play the game, and I'm fine with that. But just, maybe pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah, agreed. But I am excited for Valhalla because I love
Yeah.
both Origins and Odyssey. Now we come to the part of the show that Seth has been waiting for. We get to talk about Hulk Hogan. Apparently, there's a Hulk Hogan biopic coming from the director of Joker, starring Chris Hemsworth. This is the first I've heard of this movie. Were you following this already, Seth?
I forgot that it existed until today, actually, and then I got excited. I remember hearing about it a while ago, but like it was just like in rumors at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty stoked.
So you're stoked. You're a Hulk fan, and you like this casting choice.
Yeah, I think Chris Hemsworth is great, and I think he'll do a great Hulk Hogan. I mean, he's the Hulkamaniac. Come on now.
I agree.
Shout out to this exercise montage B-roll that we got, by the way. I really appreciate the footage selection.
Look at him.
Did
you see that backflip? Did that classic Hulk Hogan backflip that he used to do?
I don't know. It's crazy for me to imagine Chris Hemsworth acting like Hulk Hogan.
Well, that's one of the things he said was that in addition to like working out constantly to try to get those 24-inch pythons, he's also has to like work on the physicality, the attitude, and like the personality of the Hulkster, which is, I mean, there's but one Hulkster.
That's true. Did you see Joker, Seth?
Yeah, I did see Joker. I saw that in the theater. I like that a lot.
Yeah, same. So like, you think that's a good or is that a choice that gets you excited to be helming this? Because the Joker's a very dark movie, but of course, it's the guy that did The Hangover as well, so he doesn't always have to be dark.
Right. It can be a combination of both. The Venn diagram of those two movies could have the Hulk biopic right in the middle. It's a little bit dark because I do believe steroid use allegedly was rampant in the 1980s in the world of professional wrestling. Allegedly. But, we'll see. And then, of course, the whole concept of professional wrestling is a little bit ridiculous anyway.
It's a little bit ridiculous. Yeah. Well, the whole news today was that he's apparently going to get bigger than he did to play Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, that's right.
He's gonna be jacked. Destin, do you have an opinion on Hulk Hogan or Chris Hemsworth or any of this?
Hulk Hogan, like when I watched wrestling, it was Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, and Roddy Piper, right?
Yeah,
those were like the big names back when I was a kid. So I'll watch this. Great. I'd love to know more about what he went through and the story that he's going to tell as Hulk Hogan. But I want to know about this exercise regimen, man. He went to town. He's doing kicks and stuff with the camera through water.
Go download it. We use it.
Heck yeah.
Oh, wow. It's also he can more accurately rip his shirt off at the beginning of a match. It's really hard to do.
Yeah. Jonathan, you're probably the biggest wrestling fan among us here. So I'm going to give you the final word on this.
Oh, I appreciate that so much. Given my 0 minutes of professional wrestling ever watched.
What?
I've never seen professional wrestling.
Seth can't believe it. You can't believe it.
Not a minute.
Take my headphones off. I can't. Have to
nothing
walk away.
against it.
It's water.
I never watched it in school. The only people who watched it were my bullies, so I didn't want to watch it. But I do like Chris Hemsworth, and the unfair thing about him is that in addition to being extremely handsome, he's really funny. So I can see him definitely balancing the line between like some of the more serious stuff that he'll probably have to do, but also leaning into the like extravagance of professional wrestling.
Good way to put it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out more about how Chris Hemsworth is going to pull off playing Hulk Hogan in a theater near you. Well, maybe not too soon. Who knows when you're going to go to a theater? That's about going to do it for us on NG Plus today. Don't forget tomorrow. Let's see, is it tomorrow? Yes, tomorrow. Watch From Home Theater is doing What We Do in the Shadows along with the cast. That's at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. there's a link to watch both of those episodes on Hulu right in the description of this video. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Monday afternoon. Thank you to Destin, Seth, and Jonathan. My name is Damon. We'll see you guys tomorrow.